This is Tank's Log for November 4th, 2018, wrapping up today in sports. We are brought to you by Allow Me to Be Frank, the weekly podcast you can hear on SoundCloud and iTunes. This week we recapped the World Series, looked at the NFL trade deadline, and looked ahead at the rest of the NFL season. Plus, my battle with the vile HP computer that is slowly but surely taking me to the nut house. So check it out at iTunes and SoundCloud. Allow me to be frank. It's over. The NCAA season right now is just the story of the Alabama Crimson Tide. It is like a tsunami right now, the way they are playing. They are just playing at such a high level right now. It looks like professionals going up against a Division II school. And it doesn't matter who they play. It's an absolute, total whitewash. The games are not even close to being competitive. Saturday, it was number 3 LSU in their home stadium. Fired up fans in Baton Rouge to cheer on the Bayou Bengals. And it was just, they were never in the game. Never in the game. Final score 29-0. And then Tua Tagovailoa, he gets his knee dinged early in the game, and he still passes for 295 yards and 2 touchdowns, still almost runs for 50 yards with another score, as it just was just men playing against boys. It was just that big of whitewashing, that big of annihilation. Just, oh, brother. And the Alabama is now in the SEC championship game, the one thing they couldn't do last year. And they will face Georgia in a rematch in the championship game. And I don't know. I don't see any team touching them. Perhaps the team that has the best chance of beating him in the championship game this year, the FBS championship game, will be Clemson, who themselves today went out and just destroyed, decimated, and humiliated Louisville. 77-16. 77-16. Even the coach's son, who basically just stands on the sideline wearing a uniform going, I'm part of the team, scored a touchdown. I mean, dear Lord. And the Cardinals, the Louisville Cardinals, will not be going to a bowl game. They dropped to 0-6 in the ACC, clearly missing Lamar Jackson, who is now coming on the field once in a while for the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, he was the last pick in the NFL's draft's first round last year, so. But, oof. Louisville. Ouch. Ouch. Notre Dame, who was, why they were number 4, I have no idea. They're their best team in the country, clearly at 9-0. They went out, and they did the job. Wasn't pretty, wasn't dominant, but they went into Evanston, played a talented Northwestern team, a physical Northwestern team, and came away with a 31-21 win. Ian Book, 343 yards passing, 2 touchdowns to lead the way for the Irish, including he also had a long touchdown run to seal the game in the fourth quarter. So Notre Dame just keeps trucking along. They're 9-0. They got 3 games left. They got to play Florida State, Syracuse at Yankee Stadium, and then they got the big one in USC. They win those 3 games. You can't deny them the championship game. You cannot deny them being put into the Final Four playoff. You can't deny them. I know they don't want Notre Dame in there. People are, and the referees really look like they try to go out of their way to screw over Notre Dame. I mean, touchdowns weren't touchdowns, called touchdowns for the Northwestern. I mean, really, you could tell that the hatred is bubbling up for the Irish. In Ann Arbor, another team that had a dominant win was Michigan. They should move into the. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be between them and Georgia right now for that last spot in the championship game if all stays the same. On Saturday, the Wolverines just to Penn State. I mean, that was just they just slapped a taste out of Nittany Lions' mouth. 42-7. I mean, the Michigan revenge tour continues. First, they beat Michigan State in East Lansing. Now they've come home. They beat Penn State. Now they got one more to go. One more to go, and that's the big one. That's the battle that's going to determine if they're going to the Big Ten championship game or if they're going to sit home and stew again. And that's in 2 weeks in Columbus. And Ohio State's not playing good right now. Ohio State is not playing good football right now. The Buckeyes today barely survived a challenge against 2-7 Nebraska. The Cornhuskers will not be going to a bowl game. They were down at halftime, and Nebraska had a chance to win, but then their kicker missed a kickoff. Literally missed the kickoff. It had to be the worst kickoff of all time. And it's reasons like that Nebraska is such a terrible school this year. I expect they're going to turn around in a few years under Scott Frost, but right now, whoo! As mentioned earlier, Georgia is going to the SEC championship game as well. They clinched the Eastern Division on Saturday as they doubled up Kentucky 34-17. Kentucky, top 10, first time in a long time. And basically, what happened today was Kentucky earth came hurtling back to the Wildcats in Lexington, as Georgia just was never going to lose this game. It was never in doubt. Kentucky was a nice story. They were 7-1 coming in. They beat Florida for the first time in 31 years, but what are you going to do? Washington State remained the top team in the middle of the pack conference, but they needed a late score to beat a mediocre Cal team at home. So it only seems like a matter of time before Washington State's going to suffer another loss. And that will pretty much take the Pac-12 out of the playoff picture. Oklahoma remains part of the picture as they won an absolute back-and-forth crazy shootout against Texas Tech. Kyler Murray had 360 yards with 3 touchdowns. But their defense just is not very good. I mean, final score is 51-46. They kind of got lucky. They had a point there where they made this play where they had a 100-yard pick 2 on a 2-point try, which basically put the game out of reach, kind of. Because instead of the Red Raiders were going for a tie, instead Oklahoma went up 4, got another score, went up 11, and then They get Texas Tech scores again, but they just couldn't get the tie because of that crazy pick 2 return. Number 11, Florida, was stunned by Missouri, 38-17. So bye-bye Gators. See you later, Gators. West Virginia inched closer to making the Big 12 championship game as they got a late score and a 2-point conversion. They went for the win in Austin, and they got the win, beating Texas 42-41. Texas might be on the verge of being back, but they're not back this year. We'll see you next year, Texas. You're gonna make a bowl game. You're gonna be but the Longhorns will not be getting a rematch with the Sooners after that loss on Saturday. So it looks like it's going to be West Virginia and Oklahoma playing for the Big 12 title next month. Another example of why the Pac-12 conference is the way it is. It's just pure mediocrity. It happened again as Utah, who was off to a good start, playing really good, came up short and lost to Arizona State 38-20. Unranked Sun Devils now playing themselves to probably make some noise. Purdue, for the second week in a row, scored an upset on a ranked team, beating Iowa 38-36. Don't look now, but the Boilermakers are making a little bit of a run. Mississippi State, playing out of conference, just toyed with Louisiana Tech 45-3. It was Syracuse continuing their good play, beating Wake Forest 41-24. That's going to be a tough game in a few weeks for the Irish at Yankee Stadium. That could be their biggest test the rest of the season. The Orange are 7-2 now. Auburn, who had fallen out of the top 25, showed that they could return, beating Texas A&M 28-24. It was NC State 47-28 over Florida State. Notre Dame plays the Seminoles next week. It has not been a good year in Tallahassee. Not been a good year at all. James Blackburn played well, got 4 touchdowns, but it was a defense that faltered today for the Seminoles as they fall to 4-5 on the season. Boston College beat Virginia Tech 31-21. Fresno State continued their great play in the Mountain West Conference, beating UNLV 48-3. Iowa State shut down Kansas 27-3. The Cyclones are currently ranked and are going to probably rise up just a little bit from their number 24 spot right now. Of course, on Thursday, number 12 Central Florida beat down Temple 52-40. Central Florida has not lost in 2 seasons, and they are the Rodney Dangerfield team as they get no respect. They're ranked 12th. 12th! How, I understand you don't want them in the playoff. This is why the NCAA is a total joke. Okay, I know they probably will get killed by Alabama. But they're not. They haven't lost. They're undefeated. At least give them a top 10 spot, but that's... Are they gonna have to declare another fake national championship down there in Orlando? What poll is gonna decide them? It's gonna be the Disney World Small World poll that's gonna declare a national championships game. They can make more rings again. Number 25, Virginia lost to Pitt on Friday, so there's another team that will be exiting the top 25. Let's look around at the teams that were not ranked. We'll start our tour of the NCAA with the ACC. If my computer loads. Anticipation. All right, let's see. Georgia Tech beat North Carolina 38-28. Tar Heels are getting tarred and feathered this year at 1-7. Duke upset Miami 20-12 in Florida, as the Blue Devils end a 2-game losing streak, and the Hurricanes now are on a 3-game losing streak. That was sort of like a survival game. Winner has a chance to maybe make a little bit of noise. Loser, we'll be getting ready for one of those mediocre bowl games that's played before Christmas that nobody wants to see, nobody cares about, and nobody will watch. In the Big 12, it was Baylor beating Oklahoma State 35-31. So Oklahoma State, coming off their win over Texas, could not follow it up and build any momentum. It was TCU edging Kansas State 14-13. As both teams have struggled this year, both teams are below 500, and both teams will have work to do if they want to get bowl eligible. In the Big Ten, Rutgers lost, of course, but you know what? They can actually hold their head up high. They only lost by 14. Which for Rutgers is a win. When you suck as bad as Rutgers, losing by 2 touchdowns is a win, because at least you didn't get humiliated. Final score, Wisconsin, who is out of the top 25, beat 31, Rutgers 17. What a disappointing year it has been for the Badgers. It was Michigan State beating Maryland 24-3. And Illinois putting the Gophers to sleep 55-31. Pac-12. This is the conference that really sucks. They have no teams that are worth a damn. Everyone's the same. Every game is the same. And that's why they call them the middle of the pack. On Friday, it was Arizona beating Colorado 42-34. The Buffaloes, who were 5-0, are now 5-4. As mentioned earlier, Cal gave Washington State a scare in Pullman. Oregon doubled up UCLA 42-21. The Bruins are now out of playoff contention. That was Chip Kelly's return to Eugene, but it was in vain, as the Ducks walked all over the Bruins 42-21. Turn out the lights, UCLA. Washington, who had fallen out of the top 25, beat the equally disappointing Stanford Cardinal 27-23. USC got back over 500, as Akada Cedric Ware had 205 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns, as the Trojans beat up hapless Oregon State 38-21. And that's the story in the Pac-12 conference, the most mediocre Big 5 conference in the history of the NCAA. That's why they call it the middle of the pack. I mean, compare it to like the American Conference. The American Conference gets no respect. The American Conference, of course, they got Central Florida, who is undefeated and ranked 12th. Undefeated and ranked 12th. But they have other solid teams here, like Memphis beating up East Carolina 59-41. In a big upset, Tulane beat South Florida 41-15. I mean, before that loss, the Bulls were 7-1. I'd say one team that's not been good in the Conference USA this year, and that's Navy, as they are now 2-7 and out of bowl competition. Cincinnati beat them today 42-0. The Bearcats, don't sleep on the Bearcats. The Bearcats are 8-1 and not ranked. How are they not ranked at 8-1? It was Tulsa 49-19 over UConn. Now I know this conference doesn't rate with the Power 5, but gee, give me a break. And here's another one. Houston was 7-1 going into today. They lost to SMU 45-31. These games are more compelling than the Pac-12. Yet Pac-12 teams are spread throughout the top 25. But the American Conference, they get no respect. Another conference that doesn't get much respect, it's probably better than the Pac-12, is the Mountain West Conference. As mentioned earlier, Fresno State is off to a great start this year. They're 8-1. They're 8-1 and ranked 23. That's all they get. Meanwhile, Boise State today, close battle, but they got the win, beating BYU 21-16. The Broncos are now 7-2. There's another solid team. Army took down Air Force 17-14, and that assures them probably of the Commander-in-Chief trophy, as although they have to beat Navy still, but right now the Black Knights of the Hudson are 7-2, and it looks like the script has been flipped. A couple years ago, Navy was the big team of the military schools, of the service academies, but now it looks like Army's taken over. Wyoming beat San Jose State 24-9. It was San Diego State 31-23 over New Mexico. The Hawaii continues their struggles as they got obliterated by Utah State 56-17. Utah State's 8-1. 8-1. They beat Boise State. Come on. And they're not ranked. Be better. You see, this is why this ranking stuff is bullshit. Other scores we might want to mention before going to the finale and the Big 12 is UTEP. UTEP ended the longest losing streak in the country, beating Rice 34-26. And congratulations, Rice. You now have the longest losing streak in the country, as you dropped to 1-9. And now we go to the SEC. And all their teams are ranked pretty much, but we got South Carolina taking down Ole Miss 48-44. And we got Tennessee playing a game out of conference, beating Charlotte 14-13. Switching now to the NHL. Oh, Devils, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You're 4-0. Now you can't get out of your way. You can't score. Your special teams have become very special indeed. Today, 3-0 in Brooklyn. Thomas Greiss, 35 saves. Devils just came out flat again. Dropped to 5-1. This is not going to cut it. Right now, the Devils on the middle of a 7-game road trip are 0-3. And right now, they are they're sinking fast. You can't make the playoffs in November, but you certainly could get eliminated in November. Devils better friggin' wake up. It was the Sabres 9-2 winners over the Senators. The Lightning struck down the Canadiens 4-1 in Montreal. It was the Oilers 4-3 over the Red Wings. The Maple Leafs blanked the suddenly struggling Penguins 5-0. It was the Stars in overtime 4-3 winners over the Capitals. The Wild beat the Blues 5-1. Pekka Rinne got a contract extension on his birthday and celebrated by blanking the Bruins 1-0. It was the Flames torching the Blackhawks 5-3. The Vegas Golden Knights beat the Hurricanes 3-0 as Marc-Andre Fleury got his 50th career shutout. He's halfway to Marty. Well, not even halfway to Marty. That just tells you how great Martin Brodeur was. It was the Kings 4-1 winners over the Blue Jackets, and the Sharks in overtime 4-3 over the Flyers. Moving to the NBA. Once my computer friggin' loads. Anticipation is making me crazy. Alright, it was the 76ers 109-99 over the Pistons. It was the Pacers edging the Celtics 102-101. Celtics haven't really gotten going at 6-3. They need a boost, but the Pacers right now are looking good, looking pretty good as they go to 7-3. I mean, you would expect the Celtics would be a little bit better than they've played so far. The Hawks beat the Heat 123-118. I guess most of those Miami Heat geriatric kids wanted to go to bingo night instead. It was the Rockets 96-88 over the Bulls. The Spurs jingled over the Pelicans 109-95. It was the Nuggets improving to 8-1 with a 103-88 win of the Jazz. And the Lakers beat the Trailblazers 114-110. And another final score on Saturday night was the Hornets beating the poor Cleveland Cadaver's, who not only without LeBron James have lost Kevin Love for an extended period of time. The Cleveland Cadaver's are basically dead. And the final score of that game was 126-94. You know, that's nearly the same score as 30 years ago in reverse, when the Charlotte Hornets played their first game ever against the Cleveland Cavaliers, losing 133-93 as fans came dressed in tuxedos and celebrated the birth of an NBA team in the Carolinas. That's our On This Date feature. You can check out more at Barstool Sports and at Sports Encyclopedia, where sports history lives. You know what's sad is I'm talking about anticipation, waiting for these pages to load, and the pages are preloaded. It just changing windows. And my slow HP, terrible computer. Don't buy HP. Every night I'm buffering. Top 3 stars are Thomas Greiss of the Islanders, Pekka Rinne, who got the 26 save shutout on his birthday, and Joel Embiid of the 76ers. Today's birthday shutout goes to Des Bryant, who turns 30 and is apparently retired now because ain't nobody want him. And as mentioned earlier, on this date was the Charlotte Hornets' first game. And don't forget to check that out at Barstool Sports and Sports Encyclopedia, where sports history lives. And don't forget to listen to Allow Me to Be Frank. And of course, it's Sunday, so check out my NFL picks. And have a good day, and hopefully the Dolphins could win. I mean, if the Dolphins don't win today, they might as well just fold the tent and go home.